Good afternoon. Welcome to the IAAP webinar here on an introduction to AI in the heavy material industry. Couple of just housekeeping things. One, please enter your questions or comments as we go through the material today. Um, Joe Carlson and Sarah McGuire from XBE are on the call as well. They'll be monitoring that chat and question entrant and interrupting me. This is way more fun and engaging if there's questions and comments as we go through. It is a constraint of this application to not be able to kind of just live speak yourself. However, if you put it in the chat box, Joe or Sarah will interrupt. We want to make sure that we hit questions as we go through. Also, this is a bit of a teaser for what's coming up here later in December at the annual meeting. So today is like the AI 101. So we're going to start real simple, real basic on kind of what are some applications and rules around utilization of AI, both as an individual up to a company. That being said, in December, we're going to go into more practical examples of utilization. Again, this is meant to be the 101. In addition to that, our company, XBE, is a software provider to the heavy logistics, heavy material, and heavy construction industry. Our platform is used by our customers to do everything from quoting and ordering through scheduling and execution, ticketing, trucks, invoicing, chat, telematics, kind of you name it. We're in between the order up to your ERP. So we work with folks in this industry across North America. We have what we call the Agent Collective. The Agent Collective is a peer group that we sponsor and put on monthly, where our customers and people in our industry get together to talk about how they're using AI. So if that's something that tickles your interest, feel free to reach out to Joe, Sarah, or myself. We can get you recordings from some of those meetings or invite you to the next one. In addition to that, Joe will be following up with everyone who attended today. So if you have any more questions or want to go deeper or look at some specific examples, especially how agentic AI can work, we're here for you. But today is going to just really focus on the basics. I'll weave in and out in some commentary about how we at XBE use AI and our customers use AI. But again, mostly this is just a general presentation on intro to AI. Okay, so I'm Grant Woolenhopt. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at XBE. I manage our sales groups as well as our customer success and support groups. I've been in the industry here for a couple of decades. Prior to being at XBE, I was at a vertically integrated asphalt paver producer and aggregate manufacturer in Kansas City, which is where home is for me, called Superior Bowen, before coming over to XBE in 2018. As I said, XBE is a system of action for people in that space, again, across the span that I discussed. But let's jump into it. So a little bit of what this talk is going to cover. So a little bit of background into AI. What does that mean? Where does it came from? Talking about LLMs and agents, as those are probably things that everybody has heard about. We'll get into what's the right tool for the right job. We'll get into governance and safety a bit, and then we'll go into some more specificity of the value creation and how to handle that as an organization is what we'll close on. So why does this matter now? Well, if you've watched the news in the last year, it's been inescapable to hear topics on AI. LLMs, especially your chat GPTs, was the kind of the first on scene that folks started hearing about. Your team members and employees are using AI. It is in now the vernacular of our folks in North America today. So everyone's using it or talking about it, but what does it actually mean? How do we apply it? How do we think about it smartly and safety? And then, most important, how do we leverage it to be an asset as opposed to a risk to our business and our industry? So, what is AI? We got to understand what it is and what it can do before we can start thinking about how to get a return on it, because there certainly are risks to the usage of AI. Oh, fun. Thing I'll just put in, this entire presentation was made by AI. Which is, it's an AI presentation. It better be made by AI. So, quite literally, I orated my like a mini lecture to an AI model. It's called Agent XBE. I'll hit on it as we go through. It's one that XBE and our clients use on our softwares. I just talked to Agent XBE about the outline that I wanted. It then created the decks. It created the imagery. Like, this is all literally made by AI from my coaching. So as we get into examples, everything you're seeing here today was made from me orating to the system. So AI is not one thing. It's best to think about it categorically in these four buckets. So automation is the earliest application of AI and the simplest. Think about it as automation, following a script of rules. You can program a computer to follow a process and it will execute that process. That's really definably the first innovation and use of AI. And we'll get into a timeline here in a second. The next is machine learning. That's where AI is looking for patterns. So it's a system recognizing patterns of behavior. That could be, when one is added to one, what most often is the result? Well, most often the result is two in the research the machine has. So the machine isn't learning how to do math. It's just better at now predicting when one is added to one, most likely the output will be two. Generative AI is one that folks are probably most familiar with on LLMs. And that's something like ChatGPT. When it's creating something, it's writing an email for you, it's making an image, it's making code. That's generative AI. And last but not least is agentic AI. Agentic AI has really been discussed mostly this year as technology has made it possible. Agentic AI is doing reasoning, and it's usually touching multiple sources of truth or sequestered databases. It's not using something like the Chat GPT, looking at the Internet of Things and using that as sources of truth for context and instructions. It is, bespoke AI for your business. So 70 years and 70 seconds. I hope this slide doesn't take me 70 seconds. But again, back to the if-then statements of that automation really started between the 1950s and 1980s. So early computer programming automation was literally the advent of AI. Then we get into neural networks, again, buzzword that most people have heard. Really started coming on scene in the 90s, but they were constrained by technology. We didn't have the processing speed to do what programmers thought was possible. Then enter in the innovation of transformers. So we then now have the hardware capacity to do the thinking, and that really then led into the generative AI. So early 2020s, when ChatGPT really started, OpenAI's products started hitting the mainstream. And then really end of last year into this year is where it's possible to have agentic AI. So agents acting as kind of an employee for you, doing reasoning, following instructions across multiple domains, and acting for you. Joe or Sarah, any questions on the sideboard yet?
No questions yet.
All right. Someone's got to play stump the chump. I'm totally fine with getting a question wrong or just saying I don't know the answer. So throw it out there. So what's changed in the last 3 years? better models. And that really comes down to the innovation in hardware has allowed for lower cost, easier access. Because of innovations in hardware, we get better models. Multimodal input was pretty big. So that was just going from just flat text where you enter something and it then thinks or looks or does. But AI was learning to look and interpret from images, from audio, being able to do what we call natural language recognition. That's really when AI really started to become hyper feasible in a business scenario. And then it's now embedded in our applications. It was just actually in the news earlier this week that Gemini, depending on how you count it, has become now the most popular AI engine being used. The reason is because Gemini is built into every Google search now. So every time anyone goes to Google and searches for something, Gemini is doing reasoning on top of it. Because Google is the search engine for the internet, they are now claiming that they're the largest used LLM in the world. So LLM, large language model. So again, it's probabilistic reasoning. So it is guessing at what the next string will be. So if it's 5 p.m. and I'm writing an email and I'm starting typing, I hope you have a good. It's going to reason out the time. It's going to predict that at that time of day, the next most likely word that would come out of my mouth is evening. So it will look at probabilistic reasoning of what the next thing is. And that's how it then guesses or puts together or interprets information. So it's just stringing what we call tokens together to understand the relationship between certain tokens. And in human language, we think of that as certain words. The computer just converts those to tokens, and it looks at when these tokens are put together, i.e., if these words are put together, what does that mean? How do we interpret it? And how do we look across the internet to figure out what's true or not true? So that then enables it to do a bunch of cool things that we're gonna talk about here. But there's, again, LLM use in the traditional sense is different than some of the agentic usage as we go deeper into the presentation. So what's an LLM good for? Uh, Things like drafting emails, summarizing items in this industry could be something like a spec or a manual. And again, we'll go into some other examples. Giving a first pass at an analysis on a spreadsheet. What a like Chat GPT, what an LLM is not great at is really important things where you need to control the data in and the data out. That could be legal, that could be safety, that could be financial. If you're using a Chat GPT again or a normal LLM to go out to the internet, it's influenced by all of the world's knowledge that it's been trained on. So it's a poor business fit most of the time. So again, we're talking about the transition from that chat bot. So when AI first came out, if you were an early adopter, you were asking it, what's the population of Egypt? Which is the winningest quarterback in NFL history. You're treating it as an elevated Google search. That's where these LLMs really cut their teeth on that. It was a chat bot. Then, as it was able to integrate and have that multimodal input, it was more like an assistant. So you could use it to draft an email for you. You could use it to create an image for a PowerPoint that you wanted to use. And now the agents where it can act autonomously. So the best way to think about an agent, an AI agent in the right context is the smartest person you could potentially hire at your business. It is a super workforce. The way agents work is it's like that fresh out of college, high ceiling and low floor individual. They can do anything, but you need to teach them how to do it. And we're going to talk a lot about this idea of what I call centaur mode. So if anyone was like a big Tolkien or Lord of the Rings fan, you would know that a centaur is, horse body with a human top. It's that kind of mythological beast. It's part horse, part human, centaur. Uh, the best way to think about using agentic AI is imagining centaur mode. The horse, the big engine that's making things go fast, that's the agent. The brains and some of the guidance, that's the person. The best utilization of agentic AI is centaur mode. It's part person, part agent, or part AI. Where it gets shaky is if you over or underfit one of those parts. If you're too heavy on the personal, you're not going to get the kind of leverage and springboard and power that AI will give you. If you overfit to the AI, you're going to get shaky results. You're going to get untrustworthy data. You're going to send things that you wish you didn't, or something's going to be approved that you wish you wouldn't have. It's really that human in the loop principle, or centaur mode, is where agents now in business are force multipliers.
And I got a question here. It's kind of on the topic that you're talking about. If our data and documents are messy, does that mean we're not ready for AI, or is there still a practical place to begin?
That's a great question. The answer is both. You're both not ready for AI, and there's a practical place to start. There's a slide on later, so we'll hit on this, but I'll still answer now. The cleaner your data is, or the more single source of truth you get, the easier it is for AI to interpret. There's less crossed signals. It's the difference between if you ask the internet, is ready mix or asphalt better for my road? It's going to search the entire internet. That's messy data. If you had AI pointed to a database where one of your files said asphalt's better than ready mix, it's going to look at that sequestered data and go, yep, I know the answer very, very discreetly because it's in the only database I'm looking at. So yeah, if your data's messy, or if you're using the LLM large models, it's looking at the Internet of Things, or it's looking at spaghetti soup. That being said, you can use AI to clean up and structure your data. So you can't maybe leverage AI if you have kind of messy data and lack of areas of truth. So you can't leverage it right away, but you can leverage it to clean that data and help make sense of it. So that often that's the first place to start. But great question, and again, we'll hit on that a little bit more. So what is AI general? Again, not agentic, good at doing. So if you were just going to use like a Chat GPT or an entry Claude or Microsoft, and we'll talk about those in a second here too. It's that low level thing: summarizing a document, drafting the communication, maybe reading or comparing and contrasting two spec documents, which is one of the things I always tell people to do first. Field extraction, so take an image or a PDF or a ticket and have it read off the data, like how many tons were delivered on this ticket. You can upload your tickets, it reads the image, it gives you it. So extraction. Spreadsheet analysis. Again, if you give it a spreadsheet, you say, give me information or do some analysis only on this data set. The general models are good at that. Obviously, it's great at knowledge search, both on the internet or if you have the ability to point it. Drafting responses to customers. So maybe you get a angry email from someone, you could copy and paste that into an LLM and say, hey, help me respond in a positive and respectful way, hitting all of these concerns, yet getting these points across. And it could help draft that for you. And back to that question just a second ago, it can take unstructured data and provide structure. Again, often the first place that people start. Where general AI still fails, it will always be confident. Literally the models are trained to please you. That's embedded in the code in all of the major LLMs. They are trying to make you happy. And every time you say thank you or you give it feedback, or I don't want to say you, I mean the whole users in the globe, it gets more of that positive reinforcement. So it will be confident and wrong at the same time. It can miss context. Again, large models are looking at everything that has existed that the model's been trained on. It might not have the right information. Like maybe there's maybe there was some scientific study on an aggregate property that just came out about where a limestone could be a substitution from granite in some areas because it has low absorption and its hardness index is really high. So this is great news for a localized area on that ag. It's a brand new paper that was out. If you ask the LLM, it's going to look at years and years and years of data saying limestone can never be a substitution for granite for all these reasons because it's not finding, or there's too much noise contra to what you know or believe. So missing context is a big danger on generalized AI. It can misread. Back to that multimodal input. If you got sloppy handwriting and you took a picture of a screen and you asked it to interpret, it's going to guess. If it's a handwritten ticket from a quarry that you want to scan in to digitize and it's grainy, or it was a greasy camera on someone's cell phone, it's going to guess at the data. It can get things wrong. Again, if you ask it to sign off or approve something, whether it's like safety or legal or finance, back to the problem number one, it will be confident. It will do what you ask it to do always, but maybe that's not the right thing. And again, the overstated certainty comes back to the confidence. And then lastly, back to the data structure, garbage in, garbage out. If you don't have structure or you're not using a specific AI tool for your business context, it's just looking at a whole bunch of information. And most of the time, that's not good for you. So choosing tools and guardrails. So I'm just going to real briefly hit on kind of the four major models that people are using. So OpenAI, which is the company that runs ChatGPT, that's the that's kind of the gold standard for your day-to-day utilization. It's a great chatbot. It's a great research tool. You can upload your results from your doctor and it can interpret or tell you what things mean. It's really good as that general system. You get then to Anthropic's Claude, and it was built with the same intent as kind of ChatGPT from OpenAI, but it's really found its legs here in the last year on being careful and analytical. It's become the trusted model for vibe coding, so like helping you code, if you heard that term. It's the preferred model that people use if it's doing like analytical research or very careful and precise writing. Again, Claude's tends to be what people go to for the more nuanced work, where OpenAI is the throw it out there, get something that's good enough back, and you're good to go. Then some of the two more specific ones. Again, I mentioned Gemini earlier. That's Google's version of ChatGPT. It actually, I think, it has the best image creation. So it can make some really cool art. We as a company, we have one of our team members who is constantly editing our photos to be funny. So we see that a lot in our company Slack. Thank you to Google and Gemini for that. But that's really great if you have integrated workspaces. Like if you're on a Google business account, it's natively in your email, it's natively in your spreadsheets, it's natively in your presentation. So that can be really helpful as a, hey, it's there already. I'm just going to use it to help me write this email, or I'm going to use it to help build the pivot table for me. And then Copilot, that's Microsoft's version. I will say, as it sits today, I think Copilot is kind of the table stakes, or the bare minimum of what functions as AI. Microsoft has been quite a bit behind on what's possible, both on speed, accuracy, and complexity. Copilot's really only been leveraged for, again, that in your email, in your spreadsheets, in your teams, again, if you're a Microsoft suite, but it hasn't really been leveraged or relied on for anything outside of your internal kind of communications. So that's my general, like, what's out there and what are they used for. Things change every day. Microsoft's not going to be happy to stay behind. Apple is kind of revamping their idea of Apple Intelligence right now, just really as we speak. So again, things change right now. Back to that last slide, Claude and ChatGPT. I would say get about 90% of the attention on business from businesses for a good reason. All right. So what about? So we know that those are the models out there, the major services for generalized AI. What's the difference here? Most have three-ish tiers. There's the free plan, which anyone can log in and see and use. There's the second, which is your individual account, and then the last there's the enterprise account. And there's pros and cons to each of them. The free accounts, uh, nothing's safe. Everything that you put into a free account is going back to be retrained on. You upload an image, ChatGPT has that image forever. You upload your doctor results, it has your doctor results forever. It is training constantly on everything that's uploaded. So if you upload something and you ask it to summarize, and then your response is you got it wrong, like it's using that as some of its core memories and core data. It is not private. Can someone easily go and find information that you upload? No. Is it possible? Yes. So, like, kind of rule number one when we talk to businesses is if you're allowing employees to use AI, or like again, you probably can't stop them. Um, you got to have rules and governance and education around nothing is safe on those free accounts. On top of that, even the individual paid accounts, most of those in the T's and C's, your data is still owned and trained on by the model or the company. Not until you get into the enterprise or kind of corporate workspaces do you have sequestered data. Is it in the language then that your data is protected? So, like, even if you uploaded, like, let's say you were given a board presentation on customer sales last month, and you wanted to put some slides together from a spreadsheet that you exported out of your CRM. Even if you had a paid account, if you uploaded that into ChatGPT to create some slides for you, all of that sales data is now out in the ether. Again, is it easy for someone to go find that maliciously? No, but does the model own that and know that? And if someone asks, like, what's the price of aggregate in Peoria? Like, the model is going to give an answer based on what it knows. And if you're selling aggregate out of Peoria and you uploaded some sales data to help you make a corporate presentation, that's a part of the answer now that's going out. So again, like, and this is I'm going to say this is my Grant Woolenhop personal opinion. You can't put company data in personal or even paid personal accounts. It's just too risky. I wouldn't want it. It's hard to stop your people from doing it because everyone's got a chat GPT on their phone, or they go on their browser, or they're using some version of Gemini that's out there. So education becomes paramount in those times. So again, never assume public is safe. Then you have set rules. That's back to that education. High sensitivity workflow needs approved tools. So again, if you want your folks to leverage AI, there needs to be SOPs. There needs to be training on what they can and cannot use where. Because again, there's just too much risk in it. There's a bunch of upsides. So I get the individual desire to have AI do as much as possible, but there is real risk. And again, that needs to be discussed. So, what are some guardrails for usage? So, back to my Centaur mode, AI drafts, humans approve. So that's like a common kind of workflow. So you ask the AI to do something for you. You ask it to proof it to you. You give it approval. It then makes the final thing. So again, drafting, human approving, or that flywheel where it goes multiple systems of feedback, that's great. Anything touching something sensitive, you need to make sure that the AI you're using is pointed to verified inputs. So for instance, XBE, the company, 3 years ago, partnered with the National Asphalt Pavement Association and NRMCA on the ready mix side to create essentially an LLM for their industry. So Napa was the first one we did. We created a tool called Hey Napa, and this was the problem statement that Napa came to us with. They said, "Hey, we like what XBE is doing in AI and what it's providing. We want our users and our members to use AI to learn more and more about asphalt. But when we ask ChatGPT these things, it gives really bad engineering advice. It has no idea what it's talking about. Is there any way to fix that?" We said, "Yeah, sure." So we made a LLM that used the reasoning engine of ChatGPT, but instead of using the Internet of Things, we forced it to only look at a database that Napa controlled. So what Napa did is they uploaded every paper, every publication. They partnered with FHWA, they partnered with AASHTO, they partnered with NCAT down at Auburn to upload all of their papers, all of their documents, all of their best practices. So when you go to the Hey Napa tool, which is free, and you ask it a question about asphalt, it's going to look only at the resources that Napa has provided. And in fact, it will even screenshot a citation of where it's getting the core information from. So if you want to go read the paper that it's summarized or pulled from, it will do that. So again, high risk outputs need source checks, and you can only get models that work with your data like that if you go to a bespoke service provider. Even if you go to the kind of enterprise work accounts for a chat GPT, it's still looking at generalized knowledge. So again, if you want agentic AI to do things that matter for your business, you need the ability to train it on what matters to your business in a safe and sequestered way. So that just touches on the next piece too, no sensitive data and unapproved tools, where it will always start with low risk and high volume chores. So what's the most boring, easiest thing that someone in your company does? Look for that as a place to automate. So maybe every time someone calls in with an order, you send them a thank you email. And someone's doing that right now. Every time someone calls in, they put it in a cash sales, and then they type out thanks for your order. Here's when it's scheduled to be delivered or ready for your pickup. Maybe that's something that you just automate. When an order comes in and it gets approved, it automatically triggers this type of a response. And then measure what matters. We'll talk about this at the end, but one of the downsides of AI being able to summarize everything is it summarizes everything. And then what do you do all of a sudden when you have a bunch of information flowing that wasn't accessible to you? You can drown in it. It becomes incoherent. Again, we'll talk about that at the end of the presentation. So enough theory, let's talk about some specifics. So we hit on some of these ideas. Really kind of low risk, high leverage is in the commercial side. So emails, proposals, CRM notes, customer communication drafts. That's pretty low risk. It's easy to have AI draft and you approve. The next box down, maintenance, reading a service manual, finding a part number by uploading a PDF. That's all something that, the basic LLMs are really good at. We get to the things on the right. Now you're going to want to get into that agentic models that are trained, that you control on your systems, your operations, that can see multiple, they can see your TMS, they can see your CRM, they can see your ERP, they can read your tickets. You want something that can hook to all of those and bring that coherence together across. But then agentic AI is great for your operations. It can help dispatch coordination. It can see the bottlenecks coming up. It can see which plants are, having longer loadout times, which customer over orders, under picks up. It can help do those things for you. And then that becomes even more important to have like a kind of a bespoke agentic tool when you get to back office. It can do AR and AP communication. It can summarize collection details. It can pre-approve or read invoices and check for errors or omissions. It can look at payments received versus invoices out and do reconciliation. Again, if you have those trained agentic tools, it can be hyper leverageable in the operations and back office. But a safe place to start with maybe just your more generic tools is on those left two boxes.
I got a question, Grant, as you're going through this.
Yeah, great.
Kind of piggybacking off the first part where you were talking about just general AI usage and then moving more into our industry specific. Um, if you're a producer who's evaluating tools right now, or a producer or somebody in the heavy materials business, what do you look for to separate something that's practical versus something that's just got a bunch of hype around it, specific to our
Yeah.
industry?
Yeah. So great question. Um, hype is rebranded LLMs. So if you're seeing AI and it's just a new visualization of like a chat GPT searching the internet, if you ask them like, how do you control sources of truth? If you ask a potential provider, how do you control systems of truth? Is this integrated with multiple systems, or is this just a chat bot where it's looking out to the internet and again it's giving me a human answer? So is it in a, can it be integrated, and can it be forced to look at your systems as sources of truth? Two, can you train it? So can you train it on the policies and procedures, the tone, the safety manuals, the things that you own? So can you control the model or the AI to do things? Like, again, think of it as a new employee. Like, are you allowed and able to train it specifically on what you want? If the answer is yes, then it's probably a good tool. If the answer is no, it's probably just a repackaged LLM from like a GPT. So can you train it is another big thing. So is it integrated? Can you train it? And two, can it do something? So if all it is a summarization or a report tool, then again, it's probably just a repackaged generalized AI, and I'd have concerns. But can it? So like, if an AI can look into your TMS system and it can summarize tickets, well, if it comes back and it says, okay, this one was the incorrect product. Please edit, and rewrite, and reprint this ticket. If it can go do the thing for you, then it's kind of that bespoke industry specific. So look for the ability to train, the ability to integrate, and the ability to do. So those three big things is what agentic AI is. Everything else is just more that LLM, like generalized AI, which again can be very powerful. It comes with some risk, and it comes with real limitations. So again, look at it to those three main areas. So back to this slide again. These are just specific examples on plant and quarry dispatch cases, and these are getting more and more towards the agentic side. So bottleneck detection is one of my favorites. So we do that with our agent XBE AI tool. So what it does is, instead of having your dispatchers looking at trucks on a map and seeing like scheduled loadout times at a plant, or how long someone's sitting in a yard, or when it got to the customer, or did it go to the wrong address. So some people just have dispatchers watching trucks on a map all day. So agentic AI can watch it for you. So you can train the AI, hey, let me know if any truck sits at the quarry for loadout longer than X amount of time. Send me a text message to my personal phone, or send me a notification on my computer. Let me know if a truck makes a stop longer than 5 minutes between its origin at my quarry and the destination. I want to make sure no one's stealing. I want to make sure the truck's not going to the wrong location. So you could train the agentic AI to watch the trucks on the map, follow your business rules, and then notify you and even the driver if there's deviations. So that bottleneck detection becomes really, really, really valuable once you have an agent to do that work. It's really hard to have a dispatcher do a good job interacting with customers and truckers and plant operators, and also watching 100 trucks on a map all day. So again, that's a good example of where an agent can be trained on your business rules to do something of high leverage that's repeatable for your company. Maintenance, some of these I really like. So service manual upload and analysis is like great. So like for instance, on our tool, you can upload a safety manual, or you can upload a manual for a piece of equipment, and then have it write the DVIR, or the daily inspection log. So based on this 400-page PDF, write a daily inspection workflow for me, and then text it to the operators every morning or have it open on the app for them. Another one that I see producers do all the time is spec comparison, especially if you're in different municipalities or different states. If you upload multiple specs from where you work and say, hey, compare and contrast these, so that maybe in one state or one area there's an unfavorable spec, but you don't want to sift through every state in the U.S. to find what you thought was the right spec for your aggregate. You can ask, you can upload, and have the system do that. Or summarizing things. Incident report first drafts is one I love too. So any opportunity where a human can talk to an agent or a model and have it summarize what was said is going to be so much better than someone capturing that by typing it out. So again, that goes back to the multiple input types. Sales and customer service, we hit on some of these, note taking, quote follow up, collections call preparation. So you could like role play with that. Help desk, again, that's some of the, you see that a lot with software providers now where they introduce AI. It's just like a chat bot for help desk, but it is an example of something that you can do. So maybe that would be something you would want. So what's hype right now? There's real stuff today, but what's hype? Risk-free, unsupervised answers on high-stakes decisions, instant ROI without cleanup, replacing people without oversight. Like that's not real. Again, back to the Centaur mode. It's a combination. You have to have a tool that you can train like an employee. You can't just turn on any AI system and have it know your business context. It'll get things wrong. And if you don't take personal responsibility of the outcomes that the AI is producing, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt. So again, you got to find solutions that require setup and training. If they don't require it, it's way too high risk. Like if you had to explain to, if you had an agent or an AI quoting transportation fees for a drop off, and it's just like a plug and play. You put in like a per ton rate or a ton mile rate, and you say apply this to every quote. It's going to get it wrong because different customers have different tiers. Maybe there's different zones. Maybe depending on the weight that's being hauled, the per ton mile is going to be different. Like that business context is rich, and if you can't train your AI systems on the reality of your business, then again you're gonna be undersolving the problem. So data foundation, we talked about this early. Here's just the slide for it. So clean records, organized documents, connected systems, and then process owners. Connected systems and process owners are the big delineations where agentic AI can plug into and touch those and create workflows across. The generalized AI really sits on tier 3 and 4, which is clean records and organized documents to do kind of report and analysis. So where to start in 90 days? If you just found something repetitive that someone's doing that you hate, that's the right place to start. You set up governments, you run some controlled pilots, you make sure it works, and then you roll it out. So like where to start is just find that low level, easy thing that you say like we could train a monkey to do it, but you can't. It's just like this repetitive thing. That's a good place for people to start. I'm going to skip by that and jump into these. So last 3 slides here. So AI is changing how businesses run. This is akin to, and these next 3 slides are from that collective that we have meetings with our customers every month. Again, if you're interested in joining some peers to talk about how to leverage AI, reach out to Joe or Sarah and myself, and we'd love to get you in. But these next 3 slides came from kind of a collaboration of lessons learned from that collective. So what AI is doing is what to industry is what electricity did from steam. So factories before electricity were around steam power. Steam turns turbines, turbines turn shafts, shaft turn belts, and machines run on the belts. So if you wanted automation or you wanted to use steam power in your factory, that's how all factories 1880 and earlier were built. They were built around, drives and shafts and belts. So you were very fixed in what could run, what couldn't run, where things had to be set out. And then you got into electrically powered, starting in the early 1900s, and that changed literally everything. Now you didn't need to orient your factory around, pulleys. You could now have machines of different size running at different speeds that you could turn on and off individually. You could have multiple types of machines in the same room. Again, it just allowed everything to change. And it took a while. Like, it took quite a while for the old system to be replaced by the new system, because that's massive infrastructure to retrain every worker, every system, every process to be faster and more flexible. That's an entire paradigm shift. That's different skill sets. Instead of having, a uniform piece of equipment that everyone used, now you had 30 different pieces of equipment. So training was different. Your hiring was different. The electrification transformed the factory. AI is transforming skilled labor and how we think about things. So before agentic AI, that kind of bespoke high end, the bottleneck was often our people. We don't have enough people. We don't have ways to process data. We don't have enough skills to do all of these things. So it was either let some opportunities lie, do things the manual way, or not be able to leverage information. So enter in the agent, and the bottlenecks now are around two really ideas, which is imagination. So now that this superpower, this super worker exists, how do we design the new factory? What is the new possible? How do we now reorient what people do every day and change their habits based on now what's possible? So imagination and kind of recalibrating is the new bottleneck. One of the things that we hear a lot is, and general media talks about this, is AI is taking our jobs. Generally in our industry, in the heavy construction, horizontal construction, and heavy materials, people are our most valuable asset. Finding, training, and retaining great people who understand our business and care is hard. So we find that AI is not replacing people, but it's replacing tasks that people do today. That frees up the people to do new things. So they become a force multiplier. So a person with an agent to work alongside them can maybe do 2 to 10x in the first 18 months what a person on their own could do. So instead of laying off a bunch of people, you just now have people who can do a bunch more. So it becomes a force multiplier, it becomes a competitive advantage for folks who utilize agentic AI in their business. So then what's the risk on that? And I hit on this earlier, but it's coherence. So when it becomes possible to do a million things in a given day, when you have that 10x productivity, the risk now becomes, what do I do with all of that? Can I metabolize all of the information into change? Can I turn insights into action? Or am I just spitting out a bunch of things that I can't take advantage of? So the coherence, taking all of the information and figuring out how to metabolize or use it and change your people's and process, that becomes the new bottleneck. Redesigning the factory around what's possible. That's where AI is taking people right now. And again, specifically agentic AI that can work in your systems with your people. So that's it. Again, that was the kind of the general AI introduction. In December at the in-person meeting, we'll go into we'll hit a little bit on some of the same topics for those who didn't hear or see today's presentation. But we'll go into some specific, more concrete, specific examples of AI utilization and leverage with real world examples of those to share and go through. So, we hope to see you later this winter in December at the in-person meeting. And again, Joe, myself, or Sarah are available. There's my contact information. Joe will be reaching out to attendees to, one, thank you for your time, but then see if there's any specific examples or data, or if you're interested in joining or participating or seeing some recordings on the collective. We're here for you. So I'll pause just for a couple of minutes just to see if there's any questions that come up. If not, we will gift you back your 8 to 10 minutes. Joe, anything in the queue?
Nothing yet. Give them a minute or so.
That's a picture of me from our Horizon conference, which is our annual conference that we have for our both current users of XBE and folks who want to learn more about the community. Just as a throw out, our next one is this fall. If you actually go to our website, you can learn more and even register if you're interested, see what the agenda is, see what we talk about, learn a little more about who our community is and how we service them. But it's a lot of fun. This year it's actually in San Francisco. The last time it was in Kansas City, which was home for me, but we're out in San Francisco this year. So we'd love to have you and see you. If you're interested, go to the website and click the register button, and one of us will reach back out to you.
Here's one. What's a good example of a task where AI can save real time for a materials operation today, like a real life example? Maybe we can give an example from one of our customers or something like that.
Yeah, so like one of the real life ones I talked about before was like truck monitoring. So analysis on bottlenecks in the operation. A lot of quarries. So a lot of aggregate producers have some mix of FOB or delivered, and knowing where how often a truck hits the yard, how long they sit in queue, where it goes, are there deviations from route, is there proof of delivery, things like that. So AI can monitor, communicate, and kind of optimize those. So that's one. Automated billing, so looking at all the tickets that go over the scale, bundling them for the customer. Again, if you have a proof of delivery, if the system is watching the trucks, or making sure that someone signed off on their pickup, and then bundling that together to create an invoice that then goes to the ERP. That's one that's there. You can have, if you have an agent that sits across, it can do analysis on your collections or open invoices, and it can reach out to customers on your behalf. It can compile all of your QC results. So you can point it to your LIMS, your laboratory information system, and have it do analysis on your QC results to see if there's any trends. So if you're coming out fine, or you're coming out dirty on a washed product, you can see trends over time. You can compare that to what equipment or what employees were working on the days that you crushed or washed, and see if there's trends between who was operating that day, or the hours, or the weather, and what production and quality was. Those are just a random smattering. Like, that's stuff that our customers do. So I'm just prattling on what I've seen done. But those are some good examples of utilization in this industry.
That's a good one. If we do nothing with AI over the next 12 months, is our business going to fall behind?
Yeah, I believe so. Folks are just going to have insights into their business that you're not going to. AI is great for pricing trends, customer purchasing trends. It's good at monitoring lettings to do forecasts. It's good at retroactives to understand who's winning those lettings and purchasing from you. It's good at monitoring trends. And it's a force multiplier for your people, whether that means your people are doing more or you actually lay off people. Like, you'll have the option to do that. But your competition is just going to have more information and be able to react faster and more accurately than you. So yeah, I definitely believe that in the next 12 months, you'll be behind. And again, back to that factory example, AI does not transform your culture rapidly. You are ripping out the old pulley machines and replacing them with the electric ones. It takes time and care. Your employees care about how AI impacts their job and their job stability. You have to do those things carefully. And that means it takes time. Change management is a risk. And so you got to be thoughtful in how you do it. You could expose your data in a way you didn't want to. Again, proper and thoughtful deployment is not fast. So if you wait 12 months and then all of a sudden you're like, oh me, oh my, I'm behind the times. You're looking at another 12 months to rip out the old factory and build a new one. So if you haven't started looking at AI or using AI, the second best time to start is now. Because again, every day that you don't is another day that your competition got ahead on redesigning the factory. But on that note, we appreciate everyone's time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day and the week, and happy early 4th of July, and hope to see you all in December. So thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Everyone.